hated every second of it. It grossed me out for one. For two, it was just not fun. It was just not it. Oh, I'm in a lot of pain. Can you shut the fuck up? Hi guys, what is up? It is me, it is I, Camarriahare, and welcome back or welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I have my labor and delivery story. A month later, my baby's officially 1 month. I'm trying to feed him, but he likes to do this instead. Today I have my labor and delivery story. I wanted to do this right away, but obviously I had to do that fun stuff called postpartum recovery, which y'all, I barely got to recover from my delivery. Like literally I was doing things the next day, like visiting people and all that. But let's just get into the story. Hey, I have a bottle right here. Here, let's see if he takes the bottle. All right, so I really don't know how to tell this story, and I'm not sure how accurate it's gonna be, but I'm gonna try to tell it to my best abilities. He really does not like the bottle. He's breastfed. So I'm gonna try it. I'm trying to provide dates, but I really don't have dates in my mind. I know the 25th, the 26th, and 27th are important dates in this story. March 25th rolls around. I have an appointment to just, you know, like a just appointment. He was due for March 23rd, March 25th. So I'm like, okay, maybe they'll tell me if I'm dilated or not, because I had a horrible experience the last time I was with this doctor, and they had assigned me the specific doctor that I had a horrible experience with. Like literally she didn't check for anything. She had me wait for hours. I literally even came to my appointment early and still left late, and like my appointment was done in like 10 minutes. Like she literally did nothing, like a basic checkup. Anyways, so March 25th rolls around, same doctor. I'm like, really didn't want to go because of that doctor, but I was like, I really need to see if I'm dilated. That's all I care about, because I am a little bit over my due date. So I'm like, okay, hopefully you'll tell me if I'm dilated. And she was like, did you want to see if you're dilated today? And I was like, what do you mean? Do I want to see if I'm dilated? So I get checked at that doctor's appointment, and she's like, oh wow, you're 3 centimeters dilated. And I'm like, awesome. Nice to know that something's actually like starting to happen, because I had so many false like times where I thought I was going into labor. Mind you, this is my first baby, so you know, like I don't really know much, and like kept asking people what is like going into labor feels like what does it feel like, and like no one could really explain. Like they're like, you just know, you just know, you just know. I'm like, well, what if I don't know and I'm just like literally like about to have a baby? Because like, you know, some people don't know, and I have a low pain tolerance. I have a very low pain tolerance, but apparently I also have a high pain tolerance at the same time. So basically they told me I'm 3 centimeters dilated, and I'm like, awesome. But I'm like, wait, people kept telling me that once you're in the hospital they don't let you eat. That is absolutely not true, guys. What they should have said is that if you're getting the epidural, they don't let you eat after you have the epidural. That should have been what they told me, because I'm up here panicking like, oh my god, I'm not going to eat once I get to the hospital. Like I'm just done for. They're gonna give me apples and ice chips, which they do that, but I don't know. I didn't experience that. So my plan is also to go all natural. My plan was to go all natural birth. We'll continue the story. Yes, spoiler alert, I didn't go all natural, but I was pretty darn close. So let's continue the story. You're watching your mommy? Look at him, he's so cute. So my mom wanted to go to the buffet that day. She was just gonna go with her man, but they end up like not having time to go, so they end up taking me to the buffet, and I'm like, perfect, I get to eat right before going into labor, because I was almost positive I was gonna go into labor March 25th. Boy was I wrong. That whole night we get back home, I cannot sleep. I'm like, mom, like, literally watching out for all the signs, googling like, well, if I'm in labor or not, like, you know. And I thought my water broke at like 2 a.m. So then March 26th rolled along. I text his mom that my water had broke when it broke. So then 7 a.m. I get a call. My boyfriend's like, hey, I'm coming over. Basically his mom woke him up to tell him that my water broke, and I feel so bad because I was like, I am not in labor, so sorry. But he came over, we got breakfast, we chilled for a bit, and then we went to my apartment's gym and worked out. His mom was like, you should check into the hospital regardless of if you're in labor or not. My family keeps telling me that if you're not like in active labor or having contractions, they're not gonna do anything. So I had that in mind. So I was just like, well, I'm not trying to get there and they send me home. Like, that's a waste of time, money, gas, all that. I'm really not trying to be in the hospital longer than I need to. The hospital is not a fun place. I don't know what hospitals these other people be going to in these labor and delivery videos, but a lot of those places are a lot nicer than my labor and delivery room and story. This was like an interesting experience, to say the least. I work out for like an hour. I can do the treadmill, I do some yoga on a yoga ball, birthing ball, yoga ball. I don't know, people call it birthing ball when they're pregnant, I guess. So I'm bouncing on this birthing ball, running on the treadmill, not running, sort of running, like jogging, basically jogging. So I'm doing everything to get this baby out of me, like, you know, trying every little wives' tale or whatever. And this lady literally comes over. She's a yoga instructor. She literally tries to instruct me. She's trying to instruct me on like yoga poses and exercises to help. And she's like, how many weeks are you? And I'm like, I am overdue. And she's like, oh. And then she's like, okay, and then she leaves. It's pretty funny actually, because she was like expecting me to say I was like, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 months. Apparently I was carrying small, even though he's a giant baby. Giant baby came out of me. Well, first we go to Chick-fil-A, because I'm like, hey babe, once we get there, I'm not gonna be able to eat, so let's have our last meal of the day. We get Chick-fil-A, and then we head to the hospital. And then we get to the hospital parking lot, and I honestly didn't even know where to go, because this whole time, y'all, I missed a few of my prenatal appointments. And then also they just never told me like where I would be delivering my baby in this hospital. So this lady literally asked me my last appointment, so March 25th. She was like, do you know where you're delivering? And I was like, no. She's like, I'm like, yeah, like they literally never told me like where I'm gonna be delivering my baby. So I just, you know, I just assumed that I'll just find where I need to deliver my baby the day I need to deliver my baby. So, anywho, I ate my Chick-fil-A and didn't even finish it. He's like, you're sure you're done? Because once we get in here, you can't have it. I was like, okay, yeah, like I'm pretty full. We go to where I usually go, like to go get my actual appointments. And I was like, okay, she told me it was like around that way, but she didn't tell me. She's like, oh yeah, there's a building behind a building. And I was like, oh my God, this girl is giving me horrible directions. And I was just like, okay, well, where's the hospital entrance? Let's go there. So I go to the hospital entrance, and then we're waiting in line for these people. Like literally, they're just having a full-blown conversation. I don't know what to do. I'm like, I'm not even sure if I'm in the right place, you know, but I'm waiting in line with these like 4 other people, with my boyfriend. And we're just waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. And finally those people leave, right? And we're just like, she's like, hey, what are you here for? And I'm like, I think I'm in labor. And she's like, okay, just go that way. I was like, seriously? Like, I waited in line for you to just tell me to go through the elevators? I would have just done that. But, you know, clearly I didn't do my research and like, you know, ask a lot of questions. My boyfriend go through this elevator. We go to where we need to go. And we check in. I'm like, hey, I think I'm in labor. Like, da-da-da-da.
Wait like 5 minutes, then they like bring us to the back room, which I've been to this room before when I thought I was like not in labor. I wanted to make sure my baby was okay after I got into a car accident. Yeah, I got into a car accident while pregnant, but I just wanted to make sure my baby was okay. And yeah, so then we go to that room that I've been through before, and they weigh me and like to see how much I weigh, and then I pee in a cup, I think, and then I get into the gown, and then I lay in the bed and they monitor the baby's heart rate and contractions and all that, and they're like, well,
you're not in labor, but you are dilated enough for us to check you into the hospital. You're at least 4 centimeters dilated, so we're gonna get you checked in, da-da-da. This lady was really, really nice. Like, there's not a lot of nice doctors at that hospital. Having a nice doctor was really nice, because I've gotten some pretty interesting doctors. I literally get a new doctor and people are telling me like, you're supposed to have the same doctor, like it's supposed to be consistent. And I'm like, no, every time I'm there I get a new doctor. Sometimes I have the same doctor twice in a row, or maybe like scattered out I see them again, but like I've never had a consistent same doctor while going to this hospital, which I still go to this hospital. I should definitely change hospitals. Like, so many red flags at this hospital. We are moved to the next room, which is like the labor room. I don't know, not the delivery room, the labor room. I'm like, oh my God, this is actually happening. This is so surreal. I'm texting my mom like, hey, we're checked into the hospital. They said they're gonna keep me. We're gonna do this. Texting his mom as well. this is when the story gets all foggy because this was almost a month ago, and yeah, I've been through a lot since a month. I get rolled to this room, and you know, like, we're texting his parents. We're getting all comfortable, trying to get settled in. They hook me up to all the machines. They give me an IV. I believe his mom comes to the hospital to visit. His mom actually like stayed in the hospital with us through the whole like delivery and stuff, so that was nice. So his mom came. My mom was working, unfortunately. My mom does Uber and Lyft and, you know, all the other like services like that. So my mom was getting that coin because my mom don't stop for nothing. She's gonna get that back. To continue the story, his mom is there. We had like the doctors switch shifts around 6, so this doctor was like, hey, I'm gonna come in one last time before I leave. You're gonna have a new doctor or whatever. That happens, and she never checks back in after 6, so we were just like, okay. I get my new doctor, and this doctor, y'all, this doctor, I don't know what stick was up her butt or what, but this doctor had so much like attitude for absolutely no reason. Like, there was so many like horrible things, like horrible, it was just horrible to me. She was a horrible person. She just had like this vibe off of her. Am I sure I want her to be in my doctor? Like, you know, she might kind of try to poison me or something. I don't know, but I'm chilling. I'm thinking I'm good. 4 centimeters. They're like,
Oh, I'm surprised you're not like freaking out. Like, most people are like literally crying at 2 centimeters.
and I'm like, what? Like, people are crying at 2 centimeters? I don't really feel anything. Like, I don't even feel these contractions. Now it's after 6. They're like, we're gonna give you a couple hours, see if you dilate on your own. The previous doctor told me I was like 4 or 5 centimeters, right? In my head, I always go with higher numbers. So I'm like, okay, I'm 5 centimeters dilated. Okay, like, this is happening. So an hour happens after 6 o'clock when the doctor leaves. I'm already in the labor room. I feel like I'm telling the story so confusingly, but like, basically I'm already in the labor room. The lady from before the first shift leaves, and I have a new doctor, and this new doctor has like really bad attitude or whatever, monitoring my contractions, if my contractions get any consistent. And then they're like, can you feel these contractions? And I haven't been feeling contractions, but my contractions were irregular is what they told me, that I was having irregular contractions. So I can feel these contractions at the moment. They're like, we're gonna give it a couple hours, an hour or 2, and we'll see if you dilate anymore. So they come and check me again, and they're like, you're still 5 centimeters dilated. And I was like, what? I thought when the lady told me I was between 4 and 5 centimeters, I was already 5 centimeters. So in my head, I'm like, I'm already 5 centimeters. So that means I didn't progress with my dilation. Mind you, I had to pee a lot, and oh my god, I don't know why. It was just like so weird. Well, I know the experience isn't great by looking at videos, but some people talk about birthing like it's amazing and all that, but it's a pretty scary thing, honestly. I was like pretty chill about it, you know, until this. So this is part of the story, y'all. My chill went out the door. My chill just died. Like, they killed my whole entire vibe when they told me I was still 5 centimeters and they're gonna have to break my water, right? So yeah, and then also, mind you, there's this like male doctor, which I think he's like, I don't know, because he's like, I've seen him a few times, but I've never seen him like, I don't know how to explain him, but he's a surgeon. So keep that in mind. He's a surgeon, so he's one of the higher doctors, right? But every time I saw him, he was just like taking pictures, like ultrasound pictures for me to make sure the baby's okay whenever I seen him, right? So anyways, he comes back in and he's like, your baby looks perfect, like your baby's head down or whatever, right? And then he comes back in for the water breaking, y'all. I was like, no. And I was still so scared because I was like, I really didn't want them to have to break my water. I thought it would break. I honestly, oh, I skipped a part too. So when I checked into the hospital and told her my water broke, she was like, there's no sign that your water broke at all. Not one sign that your water broke. So when they told me they had to bring me water, I was like, no, like, I was hoping my water would break on its own, right? So they reach on in there. Oh my god, I hate this part. When they check your cervix or if they break your water, prepare, very much prepare. It's not I don't know what he's doing. It is like the worst experience, I would say. They basically reach their hands up there. Oh my god, so painful. He reaches his hand up there and like scrapes and scrapes and scrapes and scrapes, and I'm like, oh, ah, ew, ooh, ah, ew, ooh. So painful, I wanted to cry. That happens, and a gush of water comes out. This was like the most craziest supernatural feeling ever. Like, I don't know how to explain this feeling, but when they broke my water, I was like, it felt like my soul was leaving my body. Like, I don't know how to explain it, and I just started shaking. Like, they talk about after birth shakes or during labor shakes or something like that. I had seen something about that, but I was like, has anybody shaken after having their water broken? Because I don't know why I'm shaking, but I was just shaking. Probably because I was losing so much fluid, but like, it was just like so weird to like feel. Like, it was a very weird feeling. It almost felt like I was losing a part of me in a sense. Like, I was just shaking. My boyfriend's like, are you okay? And I'm like, no, I'm not okay. They just broke my water. And also, like, just sitting in that water, I hated every second of it. Like, being naked and just sitting in that water and that fluid. I was like asking my boyfriend if he could change the little pad that they put right there. I just kept asking him to change it because like water would just gush out every second probably. Like, it's just water just like leaking out of me, and it was like worse than, it was not fun. It grossed me out for one. For two, it was just not fun. It was just not it. So after that, I'm like, dang, things are getting real. He just broke my water. Now what? You know, like, I thought I could progress on my own. I thought I was doing good. I thought, you know, everything was gonna go smoothly, and you know, I could do a natural birth. So then the contractions start to pick up after like a couple hours later, but my contractions weren't consistent as they were. Like, my contractions were more consistent before they broke my water. So like, I wasn't having any contractions anymore for like an hour or two where I had no contractions, right? And then the contractions start happening, and they're like, can you feel that? I'm like, no. So then they pick up, right? And they're not that bad. Like, they're manageable. They feel like period cramps, right? And yeah, that goes on for like an hour. I'm like, okay, this is actually starting to get a little bit painful, but manageable, still manageable. You know, I'm just breathing through each one. Then they start getting really painful. I'm like, hey, can I, like, I saw like where birthing on your back is like probably birthing on your back is like the worst thing you can do. It's apparently like it like causes a lot of, even though that's a traditional way to birth, I heard like that's not the best way to birth, like, or whatever, right? So I'm trying to like maneuver, trying to make sure, like, you know, maybe I can use these contractions. But mind you, they have like all these things hooked up to you. Every time you have to go to the bathroom, you have to unhook these things, and it was just not fun. I was like, I just want to go into the bathroom in peace. And my boyfriend's like, at this point you should just pee in the bed. I'm like, pee in the bed? Like, I'm already complaining about my bed being wet. Why do you think I want to pee in it? Fast forward. Yeah, my contractions are getting crazy, y'all. Like, these contractions I'm starting to feel. So it's just like, I'm like panicking now, because I'm like, I'm only like 6 centimeters dilated at this point, y'all. I'm 6 centimeters dilated. They're manageable, but they hurt a lot more than, obviously, because I went from not hurting at all to just hurting and like feeling like period cramps, all right? And these contractions just get worse and worse and worse and worse, and then like literally they're like, y'all, I'm like twisting and turning. They're like, lights kept going off. They had to keep coming in to make sure all my stuff was connected. It was getting pretty annoying, the whole like thing where you have to be all connected and stuff. But they're managing the baby's heartbeat and my heartbeat, and they get a notification whenever like that's like unhooked and stuff. And one of the girls tries to help me, but you know, one of the girls is literally the lady with the attitude. So anyways, I'm up here twisting and turning, and she's like, you can't be doing all this. So then I get to like where the contractions are like really close and very painful. And my boyfriend's like, you sure you don't want the epidural? And like, my boyfriend's been telling me like I should get the epidural, but like, I'm like, well, I heard a lot of bad things about the epidural in my family, like people who felt paralyzed and all these types of things. So that's what I'm going based off of, but I'm like, dang, it'd be really nice to just have like a birth where I can't feel anything or whatever, right? And I've heard about the epidural from like this girl on my job too. She said like she was glad she couldn't feel anything or whatever, and she was telling me like how they poked her in the back and she didn't even know or whatever, right? So y'all, these contractions are very, very close, mind you, right? Very, very close, like really hard for me to sit still, kind of close, right? So he's like, you sure you don't want the epidural? I'm like, I don't want to do the epidural, I don't want to do the epidural. But I was like, dang, I really, in my mind I'm like, for me, like I gotta think about me, not like what my mom's like, don't get the epidural. My mom just kept telling me don't get the epidural, and I'm like, dang, I think I need this epidural. My mom has the epidural with me, but she doesn't recommend it because she said she felt paralyzed at times after having the epidural, like after we're off and all that. So I was like, I don't want that. So anyways, I'm just like, fuck it, I gotta think about me, I gotta put me first. Give me the damn epidural. So he's like, hey, can my girlfriend have the epidural? And they were like, we gotta check how many centimeters she dilated, because I think after you reach past 7 centimeters or something like that, or at 7 centimeters, they don't give it to you. And so she was like, let's check how dilated she is. She was like, you are just barely on the mark, right? So she checks me, and it was, oh my god, so painful. She checks me. She's like, sit up. Like, she was so horrible. This is the lady, the mean lady. She's like, sit up. I'm like, asking my boyfriend to help me sit up. She's like, she can do it, you can do it, you can do it by yourself. Like, you don't need him to help you sit up. And I'm like, seriously? Like, girl, I'm in a lot of pain, can you shut the fuck up? Like, come on now. So anyways, I try to help myself sit up because this bitch is being a bitch. So I help myself sit up, and my boyfriend assists me anyways. But like, this girl was so mean towards him, and like low-key mean toward me. Like, I don't know if she was thinking girl power or what, because I didn't feel like girl power because she was low-key being rude to me too. But she was definitely being more rude to my boyfriend. Another lady comes in, super nice lady. She's like explaining to me what's about to go down, because I like literally, I should probably research about the epidural, but I know it numbs you. That's what all I knew, and I was like, okay. And like, a lot of people have the epidural, like literally it's always talked about during like people's labors and deliveries, and like whenever they're talking about their babies, they're like, I have the epidural, like da, da, da. So anyways, yeah, I'm like really scared because they're like talking about sticking a needle in your back, and that's actually quite scary. And she's like, you move wrong and you're fucked, basically. That's what she was telling me. Mind you, my contractions are like 2 minutes apart or less, so like they had like a one shot. She's like, you gotta sit really still for this one. And she's like, good, good, good. So she has to shoot me like 2 times, I think, or something with something. She has to do 2 things where I needed to be sit still for. And y'all, these contractions were like, I'm telling you, I am not well, I have a low pain tolerance, but apparently I have a high pain tolerance at the same time. But y'all, I have to sit really, really still, really concentrate, and like really just take it like a man. Like, take it, just take the pain, because I was like, I really need this epidural, so and I really don't want to fuck it up, so I'm just like trying to sit as still as possible while having like the worst contractions where they're literally 2 minutes apart. Like I keep saying, they're literally, I think they were less than 2 minutes apart. So I'm just like sitting there like I'm screaming, y'all. I've been screaming. I was like holding in my screams for a while, but then I was like, yo, like, oh, also before I even got the epidural, I was screaming because I was like, finally, okay, well, they're literally getting worse as I'm like getting relief. Like, I'm feeling a little bit sigh of relief that I'm getting this epidural. But y'all, I was like screaming after that because the pain was so unmanageable, so freaking unmanageable. Like, literally, I don't know if I could have probably, like, I mean, like, it's like, well, you got that far, you might as well have keep going. But I don't know if I could have kept putting my body through that much pain. Like, it was unbearable. Like, I just wanted to scratch my eyes out. So then, you know, she's like, sit still, like, da-da-da, once you get this epidural, like, da-da-da. They explained me the terms and conditions, basically, of the epidural, which obviously, I think I was not listening. Like, I was just listening. I only heard the one part about, like, hey, you gotta be really still. That's, like, all I really remember, because apparently they were like, we're gonna stick something up you, like, so you can pee. Like, they're gonna put a catheter in you, and y'all, this is, like, foreshadowing. But I don't know when I remember agreeing to putting the catheter in my cooch or whatever. so I can pee. I don't know what I thought the catheter was. Like, I knew, like, I don't know, like I knew it, but I didn't know. I don't know how to explain it. Anywho, they gave me the shot in my back, and luckily that goes very successful. She's like, you're not gonna be able to get up, you're not gonna be able to walk, like da da da, like it's gonna numb you, you're gonna still feel stuff, but you're gonna be really, really numb. And anyways, I'm like, hopefully I can sleep, because once this baby comes, you're not gonna get much sleep, you know, or whatever, right? I think my boyfriend and his mom had like a few naps. I don't know, I don't remember much. But anyways, so they give me the epidural, and I just started going, like, the pain didn't the pain did not subside right away. I like, give it 10 minutes. Okay, 10 minutes pass. I'm like, okay, like I still feel stuff. She's like, you're gonna still feel stuff. I was like, no, like I still feel things. Like it's still very much painful, like very much painful. They're like, okay, we'll up your dosage. They up my dosage, and I'm like, okay, like waiting. It gets a little bit better, a little bit more manageable, but I'm like, hey, like yelling, like I'm waiting, like 30 minutes goes by after they like up my dosage. I'm like I'm still in pain. Like obviously, like I didn't expect it to like subside all my pain, but that's basically what I'm hearing from people, is like, you don't feel anything, like you shouldn't feel any pain. And I'm like, I'm feeling pain, like I'm still feeling pain, like it's better than the first dosage, but it's still painful. So I'm like, hey, like call my doctor. Nobody answers. I'm like, hey, can you guys up my dosage, using that little telephone thing? Hey, can you guys up my dosage? They're like, hey, yeah, we'll be in there. And I'm like, 10 minutes go by, 10 more minutes go by, and I'm like, I know they have other patients and all that, but like, dang, y'all, like I'm like, yeah. And plus the epidural is starting to kick into me, so like I'm starting to get all loopy and delusional or whatever, and I'm starting talking shit to my boyfriend. I'm up here cracking jokes, I'm up here crying. I'm like, wait, I gotta tell my mom I got the epidural. She didn't want me to get it, I need to tell her. Mind you, it's probably like 2 a.m. at this point. I think it's like 1 or 2 a.m. right? So like most people are asleep. Camarriahare. So I'm like calling my mom. She had just got home, whatever. She's like, it's gonna be okay, baby. It's okay, it's okay. And I'm like, no, it's not okay, mom. I'm like literally like, I wish this could have got recorded. Like, oh my god. I literally took screenshots of me like looking all horrible. I was gone, but not too gone. Like I knew what I was saying to an extent. Like I could, it almost felt like, I don't know how to explain it. Really loopy, and like I was cracking jokes. I was like, wow, like this is amazing. And then they upped my dosage, and I'm like, wow. And I could really feel like nothing. My legs were absolutely numb, and I was like, wow, this feels a lot much better. I can finally sleep. But also I'm subconsciously like, they're like something about like, don't lay on this, I don't know, they told me something where I was just like scared to really lay down, because I didn't want to fuck up my epidural, because I can't feel it, right? So I don't want to like hurt myself or anything like that. Looking at my contractions, and they're like, can you feel that? I'm like, no, I can't feel nothing. Can't feel that. I'm looking at my contractions like, oh, that was a big one. Couldn't feel nothing, and it feels so good like to not feel that much pain anymore, but like just to see it on the screen, I was like, wow, my body is going through hell right now. And like that low-key, like subconsciously, I'm like, what if like I'm like seriously like injured and in pain, and I can't even feel it, and like the doctors won't know because I can't tell them that I'm in pain, you know? Like that was my fear, like fear factor, like whatever, right? That's my fear factor, because I'm like, what if I'm literally dying? I could barely feel myself breathing. Like I don't know how to explain it. I could not feel myself breathing, but I knew how to breathe. Like I don't know how to explain it. Yeah. So yeah, I'm looking at these contractions. I'm like, wow, your girl's body's really going through it right now, and it feels like this baby's not moving at all. Like this baby's like not even going lower in my cervix or whatever. He's just chilling. He's just peace out, 8 Club, Godzilla. My boyfriend and his mom goes to sleep, and I finally got to go to sleep. I was like, finally I got some sleep because mind y'all, when we checked into the hospital, I was running on like 4 hours of sleep. So I finally rest, And mind you, it's March 27th now in the morning. I rest my eyes a bit and then I wake up and I'm like really uncomfortable. Like I start feeling a pain in my rib. I started feeling a pain in my rib and I'm like, I was explaining to the lady, like, I feel a pain in my rib. Like, what do I do about that? Like, she's like, well, it's not gonna subside all your pain. Like, basically, you stupid bitch. That's basically what she was telling me. Like, all your pain is not gonna go away. Well, I'm in a lot of pain. Can you shut the fuck up? But you don't feel your contractions, right? And I was like, no, I don't feel my contractions. So, okay. So then I'm just kind of like sitting there, like, watching the clock, because they didn't even, did they have a TV in there? I think they had a TV in there. So I'm just like watching the clock, watching the TV. I can't remember if there was a TV in that room. It's sitting there, like, they're sleeping. Like, I got probably 3 hours or 2 hours of sleep. And I'm just like, my legs are so numb. My back was starting to hurt. So like, I wanted to change my position, but my legs were so heavy and they were numb. Like, I couldn't move them. They were numb. I'm just like crying. I kept calling my boyfriend to help me adjust my legs. But he was like literally in such a deep sleep, like such a deep sleep. So I was just like kind of like wanted to cry right there because I'm like, dang, I'm like so numb and there's nothing I can do about it. So there I like probably go to sleep for about an hour or two. The doctor comes in, she's like, are you ready to go into labor? I was like, yep, we're doing this. I was also really very much scared. So my boyfriend and his mom come with me to the delivery room. There's 4 doctors there, including the surgeon doctor. So the guy who broke my water, he's a scary looking man, not gonna lie. So they're in there, they're all got all their tools to do surgery. They're like, you're ready? And I'm like, nope, not really. And yeah, so also I could feel my legs at this point. So I can feel my legs a little bit, so they weren't as numb as they were before. They were really, really numb, y'all. Like, could not move them like I told y'all. So at this point, I'm like, wow, how am I gonna deliver this baby when I literally could not feel like much? I literally can't feel much. And as I was researching like labor and delivery, like how to deliver a baby, how to push out a baby, it's like you're supposed to push with your butt muscles. A lot of people kept saying like, if you poop, like you're doing something right. Like, and I was also very much scared that I was gonna poop. Like, that was one of my fears while giving birth. Like, I know that shouldn't be my worst fear, but I'm like, what if I poop? It's gonna be so embarrassing. But I was trying to clear my bowels like for a while before giving birth. Like, I was trying to clear my bowels out, and not just because of that, because I had a lot of bowel movement before giving birth. I should have a clean palate by the time I give birth. This is the fun part, the most fun part of this story. So delivery room, we get into the delivery room, there's a surgeon's right there. She's telling me like how this is gonna go down. Basically, I'm gonna hold my legs and push to my best abilities. And I'm gonna push on a breathe in or breathe out. As I breathe out, I'm gonna push and I'm gonna hold that. Wait. Oh, I'm gonna push as I breathe in? I don't remember. One of those things where it was really hard for me to do because I would breathe out. So I'm gonna push on a breathe in, I think. Is that how it works? I don't remember. But either I kept doing it around because I was like, I kept doing that. And she's like, no, you have to start all over. She was getting really upset with me. It was the same lady getting really upset with me. She was like rolling her eyes and shit. And I'm like, this bitch, like, she's like, hold your legs and push. And I'm like, yo, I need assistance. Like, can somebody hold my legs? I can't even feel them. I can barely feel my arms. Like, what the fuck? So anyways, my boyfriend's mom is holding one leg and then my boyfriend's holding the other leg. And I'm still trying to like follow this lady's instructions and hold my own legs. And it was really, really difficult task. 1, because I'm weak, and 2, because I can barely feel anything. So I'm pushing and I'm like, how do I even push when I don't even know like what I'm really doing because I can't feel anything? So I just try my best and I just like hope I'm doing it right. I'm pushing on my butt, hopefully. But yeah, so basically I kept doing the wrong breathing technique, but my baby was starting to come out. I could see his head. And then they were like, do you need a mirror? I was like, sure, I'll get a mirror, because I was like, maybe that will help because I can see as he's coming out if I'm doing it right, you know? So they were getting tired. They were getting really tired. They kept like, every time I would push and he'd like barely come out, they'd be like, the fuck is this bitch doing? And I'm like, hey. So the mirror was very helpful. to tell me when I was pushing or not pushing. But yeah, they were obviously getting really irritated because they would stop. But the 2 people in the back were a lot nicer than the 2 people in the front who were like the actual surgeons or whatever, like the delivery people. So yeah, so basically there was this one push when, you know, I had to push in between my contractions. And I was pushing this one time, and they were like, push, 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 push. And then like his head came out, but it got stuck because I didn't push him all the way out on that breath. And I had to wait for the next contraction. And I literally saw my vaginal area just rip open. I was like, that's not good. I didn't want this to happen. Like, this could have been totally avoided if I would have got that baby's head out and they could have just pulled him out. So yeah, I literally watched my area rip. It was not fun at all.